Alright, got the clout out. I don't understand what your problem is, Coin. You understand if you attack for 1 and 2, you draw 2 cards? I don't know if you... I don't... And I don't know if I've ever attacked for 1 with my my Glen. It's most of the time it's like 3 and 4. But yes. We play creatures, and we draw cards, and we counter their spells. Alright, so... Chiron... okay, they left. Alright, sweet. I mean, Glen is just Cold Eye Selkie. It's not like a crazy magic card that's never been printed before. It's just like easier to cast, is a human, and has Skulk, and blocks pretty well, which are like all nice upgrades. Of course, I didn't play in this deck. I didn't choose to play Cavern, but obviously there are decks where you could choose to play Cavern. This is the Dog Through Time. It's a nice one. Of course, Discover and turn 1 to you. They're playing Doomsday, and they always have a turn 1 to the Doomsday. Alright, so this hand is like kind of medium, but I'm in. Let's battle. Obviously, I'm like pretty decent against combo with 2 forces and a fluster, and then decent against Bazaar with a Wasteland, so. Dog Through Time. I don't know if I mean, the games where Discover End doesn't turn 1 kill you, you win the game, so. It's not a terrible draw, but obviously it doesn't make me super happy. So a draw that I would really like to see is like a Glen. Some kind of threat would be really nice. If I could like play a Glen, resolve it, keep it in play, and then draw an exalted creature, that would be the game plan here. Yeah, I'm gonna let that happen. I think fighting over something like that is usually not worth it, especially when if you counter the thing that they cast off Lotus, it's a 2-for-1, or I guess it's a 2-for-2 at that point. But so we see, oh, we're just getting Consult killed. Interesting. I don't think opponent knows that. Okay, they're just playing an Oracle. Interesting. I'm about to say, like, we have double. Is it just Merfolk then? It must just be Merfolk then. They get to look 4 cards deep and put a card on top. It must just be Merfolk. That's the only way this makes sense. They did put a card on top. I don't really think I want to jam a Collector Oof in this current board state. Unfortunately, I do think I want to wait until I have the more mana to jam a Collector Oof, I think. Alright, they had a follow-up land. We start taking shots. Is this a pair down? No, they won their round 1. That card doesn't do anything. I mean, it could still be Doomsday, and they just don't know that they should hold on to one of these oracles, maybe? Or maybe they just felt like they could never counter all the spells in my hand, and would rather just beat down. I'm just going to pass the turn here and discard my Collector Oof and go for an end of turn Ancestral. I don't think it's the way my hand is situated. I don't think it's correct to like battle on my turn. There's no reason to enable their like Force of Negations, where we can do a lot more on their turn to protect our Ancestral. Somebody left right at the end. That just resolves. I don't really know what's happening. What is happening? I think what I'm gonna do here is jam my Glen. And I'm gonna obviously go down on my fluster, but I have so many forces that I don't think that should matter very much. No covered island, blue, days. I might just force pitching fluster. I'm gonna have to discard cards at the end of turn anyways. It's not a really value play, but though this doesn't really attack through oracles until I have double noble hierarch, so maybe that's kind of greedy. If they fight over this a second time, I'm gonna let it happen, I think. Yeah, this is fine. Opponent had force pitching force. They have one card left and they have 6-turn clock. That's not gonna do enough. They are on Doomsday. I guess what the logic and reasoning is they saw my hand of double force Flusterstorm and felt that they couldn't combo through my hand. So they wanted to just attack. I don't really know how you're going to get blockers that don't kill the oracles if they attack. So I do have a Mystic Sanctuary for Ancestral soon. So even though I have... Oh, I actually have just enough to cast Dig Through Time without losing my Ancestral, but it does play into Days for no reason. I mean, they're beating me down. It's happening. I do think that using my mana efficiently here is definitely worth it. Okay, so Swords is pretty good, and Time Walk is pretty good, as is Noble Hierarch. If I can Swords both their creatures, they can't win, right? So what if I go Swords, Time Walk, and just go Swords, Mystical on top, Time Walk, Swords? I just win, right? Alright, now I don't even have to do that? Well, I guess they could card cast Street Wraith. Hmm. I think I'm okay with that, though. Maybe this is like really greedy. I could see this being greedy, but I mean, they can cast it now. They just have to find Street Wraiths. I just have a Force backup. It might have been greedy going for double swords there, and I probably should have just gone for Ancestral. It kind of feels stupid. I feel like I got baited a little bit by the memes. You know? I feel like I got baited a little bit by the memes. But I mean, at the same time, I don't know, exiling both oracles sounds good to me. I still have Gush in my deck to, like, get the Ancestral again. I mean, that's their plan now, for sure. It's, like, the only plan they can possibly choose, I would assume. That's a pretty good draw, I think. I only have one waste left in my deck, so I think I am going to hit one of their black sources here. Brainstorm. I'm going to let all these draw spells happen. I would rather just save my counter spell for the Street Wraith. Obviously, the downside here is if they, like, find a Gush. But I think that's fine. Alright, what are you going to put back on top? Brainstorm? Sure. I don't think I care. Kind of a weird game. I mean, the upside of... I think if I just did one swords would have been fine. And then I could have got an Ancestral and drawn 3 cards instead. I don't think going for, like, the 3 Swords to Plowshares, like, I don't think that was right. It just doesn't seem right. Are they gonna Doomsday? Are they gonna go for, like, a pile of Street Wraiths on their Doomsday? Oh, no, they have it now. Okay, alright, I understand. So that means they have a Flusterstorm or something. You know I have Force of Will, friend. Okay. That was a weird game of Magic. I'm in for it, though. So let's bring in Flusterstorm, Mindbreak Trap, and Deafening Silence. And then let's take out... Let's take out Swords to Plowshares, as good as it was in that game of Magic. Do we want to bring in the 3rd Oof as well? That's fine. The serviceable Magic the Gathering card. I don't know if we have room to bring in a... Maybe we go like this? I don't know how good Commandeer is. I mean, I should be able to beat a Tasigur. I don't really think I care. Like, one Tasigur isn't gonna beat me. So I don't really think I give a shit. I don't fucking... We didn't put Commandeer in our deck to not play it, chat. Commandeer is here for the content. Can we, yo, thanks. Are you working right now? I just stopped. I didn't want to do it anymore. What is one Tasker gonna do against my army of 0/1s? So I think this hand's a mulligan. While a completely serviceable hand, this does not beat Discover End Doomsday 7s. Obviously, my opponent is not Discover End, but that's just how I talk about Doomsday hands. We have so many free spells, we should just mulligan. Look at this. Look at how much better this hand is. Bless. Question: is the plan to super tryhard Eternal Weekend? I don't think so. If I was super tryharding, I wouldn't stream it. I'm going to stream all 3 events. And because there are 3 events, I could see, like, not all 3 of... Like, I might just not... I don't think I'll play PO for all 3 events. That's a lot of PO in one weekend. I could easily say, like, maybe I'll play a PO and a Hogak and a Hollowvine or something. Or, like, a PO... Like, I think there's a pretty reasonable chance that I spice it up. So I would say that we're gonna try to win Eternal Weekend, right? I obviously want to win some Eternal Weekend paintings. That's very high on my goals list for Magic the Gathering. But I'm obviously not going to try as hard as I did for like the showcase qualifier where we queued for the mocks, because I think I would rather get the 3 events streaming content in than try to win all three. I guess if I stream and win, yeah, I think that's just how I feel about it. Oh, I need one of those for a stream background for sure. I don't think I would be selling that. It needs to go in my trophy case. Alright, so I'm not going to cast this Ancestral anytime soon, because I really don't want it to get dazed. I think we're in like a deep pile of shit if it gets dazed, so I'm going to hold it until we can at least pay for daze. Opponent knows my hand, besides Glenn, obviously. They only have 3 cards in hand, though, so we should be able to just grind them out here. Collector Oof is kind of interesting. I think it's more of a follow-up play than a jam right now. It's obviously quite good right now because it's going to turn off one of their mana sources and then turn off Black Lotus piles. I do think that now is a good time to cast Ancestral Recall so that I can, with no fear, jam my Collector Oof on the next turn. They only have 3 cards in hand. It's even like kind of reasonable for this to just resolve. The way this doesn't resolve is if they have a Flusterstorm. They have a Mental Misstep. Have a mental misstep. All right, I'm gonna use my negation. I'm gonna use my negation. And I'm gonna pitch Commandeer. I think. I actually think this is worth fighting over because if they use another spell, I feel pretty good. I'm never casting this Commandeer, right? I don't think it's happening. All right, we were able to resolve. So we have a Sanctuary for an Ancestral on our next turn. I am just going to play a land and a Moxen and jam a Collector Oof right now. I want to hold this Glen for my misdirection. So we're really looking to... yeah. They have 2 cards in hand. Okay. I mean, there's definitely ways we die here, but unfortunately, we don't have very many spells that draw us into that Ancestral, so like we really want to top deck a Time Walk or a Ponder. Are they going to just Doomsday here? We might just be a turn too slow. Oh, Necro. Interesting. I don't think I care as much about Necro. Necro, I'm less concerned about. I would be more concerned about a Doomsday. Like, I understand that maybe we're just not supposed to fight over Ancestral. And I could see that being true. It felt like a good place to fight because of the cards they had in hand. Like, having only 3 cards in hand, it felt like a pretty decent place, but obviously drawing 3 mana sources is not really what we wanted. We really want to draw a blue card for this turn so that I can play a Glen. Think. Blue, white, white. I would also take like a Deafening Silence would be a pretty sick draw. A Lavinia is okay. Stops Gush. I'm gonna... Beautiful, 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 beautiful. So I'm going to put my Ancestral back on the top of my library. And I'm going to play my Glen. And I'm going to hold up Misdirection. And they're at 6 life. They actually put themselves dead on board if they Doomsday. So they have to have a Doomsday kill on this turn. To do that, they have to bounce this Collector Oof. Well, the thing that Misdirection stops is Misdirection stops Ancestral Recall. Misdirection doesn't stop Gush, but a lot of the Gush lines... no, I should still lose to Doomsday if they have Doomsday here. Well, if they have to have another mana source because of the days. Misdirection, like, basically only stops Ancestral or a counter, but, like, there's no way I'm casting a spell that's going to get countered. Yeah, I'm aware that Misdirection didn't do anything. So maybe the best play, maybe if we rewind this game, what we really should have done is we should have misdirected the Mental Misstep to itself. And that way we could have kept Force of Negation in our hand. I think that actually sounds like an even better line. Why not? Oh, it can't target itself with it? Oh, because when you misdirect the Force, you're misdirecting the Force to the misdirection? Okay, so then we couldn't misdirect the Mental Misstep, so we had to either let our Ancestral not resolve? I guess I'm thinking more about Force of Will getting misdirected, where you're misdirecting it to the misdirection. Not to... But you can't misdirect a Mental Misstep to a misdirection because it's not a legal target. So that doesn't work. So... Oh, they found a non-fetchable land? Okay. Are they getting Ancestral here? They might just be getting Chain. This is good against Chain, though, not me. Misdirection's great against Chain. Not great against Chain. I guess they can just make 2 copies that target my Collector Oof, so maybe it's not actually great. They just went for Ancestral. I mean, this is my time. If I misdirect this Ancestral, I'm going to draw my Ancestral. Alright, they had a Force of Will. So they're at 5. I guess the next question becomes... When we draw our Ancestral, are we even supposed to cast it? Like, we're probably not even supposed to cast our Ancestral, right? Well, I guess... No, I would have to draw 2 Noble Hierarchs, or a Noble Hierarch. I would have to draw... To make it a lethal... none of those make it lethal. I'm thinking of if they go for a Doomsday line. I guess if I can get 2 Exalted creatures, they can't cast Doomsday. I mean, they could also have Negation, right? Like, they could easily have Negation here. I don't think I'm supposed to cast this Ancestral. If they just negate my... If they just have Negate... Should I attack first? I mean, they can have more. You don't think they play 2 negations, is what you're saying? I guess that's fair. I guess that's a reasonable point. What if they have Misdirection? I can put them to 1. If I draw Noble Hierarch... If I had drawn Noble Hierarch plus Khazali Pridemage, I could put my opponent to 1. But now they're going to 1, so they can't Doomsday. So that's kind of a weird counter. I don't think I would counter that if I was my opponent. Opponent really can't Force of Will that. I really don't think opponent's allowed to Force of Will that. Are they just going to play a Tassiger? Okay, Gush. They have to play 2 creatures, or creature plus chain. Or Oracle Consult, yeah. Demonic, Oracle Consult, I die. That sucks. I don't really know if we could have made any changes that would have stopped this from happening, though, right? They just drew the cards they needed off of Necro. The only change we could really make in this entire game is to not counter their mental misstep. That's the only change we could make. Maybe that's correct. Like, I definitely think that was a contestable opinion. This game sucks so much. No, they just win the game. If we had kept the Ancestral in our hand, then it would have just gotten forced on their turn. You're not supposed to love it. I'm gonna time you out. Doomsday is the enemy of everyone. I don't fucking care what they named off console. Really frustrating. Doomsday is not awesome. Doomsday is awesome literally once. The first time people do... When Doomsday was hard and Doomsday like was complicated deck that wasn't very good, sure, Doomsday is awesome. But I am so over Doomsday. It's just like so far and away the best combo deck in Vintage. It's really, really frustrating. It's so easy. You just turn one all the time. Yeah, that hand's... We're keeping that hand. I will be casting Ancestral on my turn here, just because they only have one Force of Negation in their deck. I could obviously play around something by playing Brainstorm first, but I'm not doing that. I really don't have any other plays, but I get to deploy Silence, so it's pretty good. It's too good. That's the real problem is that I think Doomsday is just too good. I'm not bringing in Surgical. That's not a plan. Wow, I don't have a green. Oh, we're dead. Cool. Alright, well. Now I'm just tilted as fuck. Now I'm just very tilted. How am I gonna cast Ancestral on Brainstorm and be like 0% to win the game? Holy shit. I don't want to take out good cards from my deck to play Surgical Extraction. That's just not worth it to me. I understand you can Surgical Underground Sea. I don't think it's that good. Just has triple C draw? Sure. Hey, not me. Are you watching the game that I'm watching? Are you watching the game that I'm watching? I don't think you are. I think you're watching a different game. Alright, can I get a fetch land, please? Fetch land for a green source? Fetch land for a green source? That's not bad. I'm not supposed to use this wasteland, though, because I need to play around Gush. I will wasteland in their upkeep, I think. It's just dig through time. If I can just find a land, I'd be in such a better spot. I think I'm supposed to just let this dig through time resolve. I don't actually see the need to force this. Why? You know you can miss on dig through time, right? They're gonna go to 9 cards and have to discard at the end of turn. Like, I don't think there's a reason at all to force that. I think forcing that is actively bad. Holy shit! I just can't do it, man. It's not really about my deck versus Doomsday, Mike. It's about every deck versus Doomsday. The only bad matchup in Vintage for Doomsday is Breach. The only bad matchup in Doomsday is Breach. Holy shit, I cannot win. What does this do for me? So the biggest problem with casting and Merchant Scroll here. The biggest problem with casting a Merchant Scroll here is if opponent goes Chain, I can't counter it. But I don't know if that's a huge deal because I have Trap double quad forces or whatever. But what am I getting off my Merchant Scroll? There's like no cards left in my deck, right? It's I have an extra Fluster. I have a Mental Misstep. I have a Misdirection and a Commandeer and a Gush, so maybe we want a Commandeer. I'm just gonna pitch this Noble Hierarch, I guess. That'd be pretty fun, wouldn't it? So opponent has what? 1 Underground Sea and 1 Island, and do they play a swamp? All right, I'm gonna play Probe. I'm gonna be sad, I think, because I won't be able to counter their chain. But they don't have a chain. They have a Massacre. So they have Dark Ritual Force, but they can't cast anything after they Dark Ritual because of Deafening Silence. That's pretty funny. That's pretty fucking funny. Oh my god, I drew a Lotus Petal. What do we pitch here? I think we just pitch the Scroll. So now I have Dig Through Time, which is good. Yeah, Silence is very good. The only problem with the card Silence is you have to find a deck where it's good. It's good. Opponent's gonna discard a card again. They have a Force though, which means anything they want to resolve will resolve. No, that's not true. They have a Force though, so anything we want to resolve on our turn will not resolve, but they can't force to protect their spells on any turn. No one can protect their own spells with Force, and any spell that gets forced by the opponent that's not a creature is always going to get forced. It makes for some weird dynamics. I don't know if I said that right either. The opponent is going to go to end step and pitch one of their Doomsdays, I assume. Yeah, so they have 7 cards that we know 6 of. Beautiful, I drew a land. I'm not going to play anything on my turn besides this Petal. If they drew a chain, then they drew a chain. I think we should still be able to... Oh, they did draw a chain? Interesting. Oh, you're just fetching now? Do you have a swamp? Do they have a swamp? Oh, they have a sanctuary. I don't know if I knew they had a sanctuary. They put a Dig Through Time back on top. Okay. That's fine. Dark Ritual doesn't matter, chat. Please stop saying Dark Ritual. I still have a Deafening Silence in play. Yeah, Preordain is so good for me. This is the best possible thing that could have happened for me. Because on the end step, I just get an uncounterable Dig Through Time. I can just do it now. Oh, I should do it at the end step in case they have a creature. Yeah, it's actually, unironically, Tasigur is the biggest deal right now. Unironically, Tasigur is the biggest problem because I can't force it without them forcing it back. It's kind of funny because I shit-talked it, but it actually is a huge problem right now. We took the swords out of our deck. That's what I'm saying. All right. How do we feel about Zali Pride Mage Lavinia? Or, yeah, I can't take my oof. So, what about Strip Mine? I've already used all my wastelands, so I actually can't get them completely off black sources. So I don't even know if that's a viable path. I guess they have an active massacre, which is a sorcery. So maybe we just go Lavinia Strip Mine. I mean, this isn't actually a mana. They don't have any more lands in their deck, from what I know. Like, this should be the only lands left in their deck. Alright, I'm gonna go Lavinia Strip Mine. They're gonna force my Lavinia, though. That's fine. I can force back. What are they gonna cast here? They had 2 islands in their deck? Okay. I see you, opponent. What could you possibly cast, though? Oh, it's the dig through time. Duh. This is fine. We can just force this. No, I think this is fine because we want to play the spells on our turn. I guess we could have gone Lavinia Time Walk. I don't really want them to find the Tassiger is my biggest concern. Because I don't care about the cards that are in their hand. But I do care about the Tassiger if they find it. Oh, they found their Jet, so they actually have double black again. I could have countered this Jet. I don't really think it's worth it, though. I assume they hardcast force this. I don't really think I have... No, I don't have a Caracas in my deck. I don't have a Caracas in my deck. I mean, I don't really care about this. I'm gonna get another Tropical, though. It just doesn't seem necessary. Like, I have a hard cast force for four turns here. If they were ever to cast a spell that mattered. And then eventually I'm gonna Mystic Sanctuary. What the fuck is this? Really? Okay. Eventually I'm gonna Mystic Sanctuary back my Ancestral and everything will be Gucci. Okay, so now the problem is they do have a hard cast force, so it might be challenging to get my Ancestral to resolve. I mean, I still think I'm supposed to draw the Ancestral. Maybe I just don't play it yet. That's not how this works. I can't cast Ancestral unless they cast a spell, or I have a follow-up. If they ever cast a spell, I resolve Ancestral, obviously. But I have no follow-up, so there's really no reason for me to cast this Ancestral yet. That card is pretty bad right now. I don't really think that that's a card that I want in play. This is going to be a weird game. I mean, the Deafening Silence has stopped us from losing, Karate. Like, obviously, Deafening Silence is hurting us, but opponents had Dark Ritual Doomsday and Dark Ritual Necropotence for the entire fucking game. They had 2 Tabernacles? They're insane. I guess I should play faster. This thing I think I'm gonna cast. I want to start clocking them. If they force this, then I get to resolve Ancestral, and I'm just a super happy person, so... Pride Mage is a great draw. I'm a big fan. If they don't counter it, like, then we can kill their Jet, too. I think I'm just supposed to Ancestral. Yeah. That's a good one. I just turned off hardcast for a turn, but oh fuck! If they draw, oh god, if they had no, that wouldn't work. Never mind, we're fine. But this does block, which is annoying. Woo! I was a little scared for a second. I was a little scared for no reason. Console is not a protectable kill for them because of silence. I'm definitely going to play Skulk. Does not work. I think I'm going to play the second thing. Obviously, it could backfire if they have an Ancestral. But I know 5 of their 6 cards. They have Mental Misstep. Okay. So they still have Massacre, but I have about a million counter spells, so I'm casting the second Silence to play around Chain of Vapor. It's Selkie. It draws cards equal to its power. It also has Skulk. That's fine. Alright, so they can't cast any more non-creature spells this turn. We start to get in 2 damage every turn. We can only hold open Hardcast Mindbreak Trap right now. We can't hold open Hardcast Force. Which is a problem, I think, but... Okay. Kind of an interesting card to draw, because they have Ancestral as one of their better outs. I need to play a little bit faster here, I think. Gush. Gush is fine. If they cast Massacre, I'm just gonna hardcast Trap it. Maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm just gonna force pitching Misdirection. Maybe I'm gonna force pitch Force. So I'd like to have hardcast Trap open, I think. Because I can't play hardcast. Glenn's definitely better than Cold Ice Selkie. It's easier to cast, and it has Skulk, and can block pretty well as a 1/3. It's also a human, so if I had Cavern, it would be even better, but I currently don't have Cavern. Skulk is pretty relevant. Like, it attacks through a lot of Tarmogoyfs, which has come up a couple times now. No, the problem is that I have to pay for all of the Tabernacles, so I don't have the mana to cast Hardcast Trap. Now I won't have the mana again, but I think that's fine. I would rather get this Noble Hierarch deployed. The reason I want to get this Noble Hierarch deployed is if I draw another Noble Hierarch, then my Glenn gets through. Is that better? No, I do want this Glenn to be getting through at some point here. It's like not it's pretty reasonable for my Glenn to get through with just one more draw. Like, the Noble Hierarch pays for itself, so it's not like I lost out on mana or anything like that. It's been an interesting game of Magic. I would agree with that statement. Magic's a lot more fair when you can only cast one creature, non-creature spell a turn. Alright. So I could choose to start attacking with Collector Oof here as 3 damage. Return clock? Yeah, let's do that instead. Looks like they have a spell finally. Is it gonna be chained for my deafening silence? Have that match currently. I guess I don't exactly have that match because they have two creatures they can fork with. I guess I do have that match because I have Mindbreak Trap. Jesus Christ. I guess I should definitely be holding this Mindbreak Trap. I definitely think I should be holding this Mindbreak Trap because of that reason as well. Hope I don't time out to these Tabernacle triggers. I don't think I can lose from this point because opponent can't protect their chain ever, so... And they can't play multiple black mana spells ever. So as long as this Deafening Silence is in play, which I don't think it can leave play with our current hand, I think we can't lose. Sure. I think we got this wrapped up. Next turn we attack for 2 and draw 2. They just went for a chain with no forks. Kind of weird. No, Tasigur is not an issue anymore. This thing has Skulk. Tasigur actually can't block the Glen, and they'll just lose. Kind of sick. Can't they just, like, sack a bunch of things and make 3 copies? Or is that not how that works? Oh, really? Alright, well, that's not how that works then. Fine. I don't know what I'm talking about. Just ignore me, stupid streamer. Whatever, man. I hate Chain. I don't play Chain. I don't like the card, so... That's fair. If it's not how it works, it's not how it works. Alright, we got there. That was really cool. This was like the whole idea behind the deck, by the way. Like having a Deafening Silence, a Glen, and then a pile of free counter magic. That was the whole idea, so... I don't... Chains, unfortunately, bounces your Bolus's Citadel, so why the fuck would you ever play that card? Or your Blightsteel, like, oh man, not a big fan. I don't really think you get MVP. You didn't stop me from doing anything. You just stopped me from saying wrong things.